Welcome back to the channel, guys. I am Kay the Guy, where we show you how to grow, build, and fix things for a more self-sustained life. In this episode, we're going to go over the final steps that it took to finish our PV system for our home, how much it cost, and what the total breakdown was to the extra value that it added to our home. So the final steps after getting permitted, digging our trench, and then getting our conduit dropped in. So first was completing the skeleton of the frame of our PV system. Now this was a little confusing because we didn't know what came with our kit and what didn't. So we ended up getting all of our supplies in and realized that we were a little bit short on all the pipe that was needed in order to complete the structure. Now we had gotten our panels and our kit from our local solar panel store, which is solarpanelstore.com. I'll leave a link to the description below if you happen to be in Colorado. I do also think that they send out kits to other locations, including other states as well, but they were super helpful in helping me get through all the process of permitting and all the specifications to my system that I had to do for my application, as well as just being really helpful in answering questions and doing everything possible to really help make it as easy as possible for me. So after we had completed the assembly of our frame, all the steel that we had used for it was bare metal. So we needed to make sure that one, it was protected, and secondly, we decided to color it white because white typically is a better heat sink for heat. So we used white Rust-Oleum to paint over the entire frame and structure to make sure that one, it was protected from getting rusted out over the years from moisture, and two, that white paint was actually a better heat sink, which when you heat sink a solar panel system, it actually helps with efficiency. Not a lot, but a little bit, and that's something that you want to keep in mind whenever you're building your system. The next thing we did was we added all of our panels to the array behind me. We did all the gutter boxes, the breaker, disconnect, and also the PV metering system, the new system that actually goes onto the side of the house, as well as adding our combiner outside at the array site. Now, important thing to remember is that this was all done under the advisement of one of my best friends, Jay. Thank you for helping us out. We couldn't have done it without you. So the third thing that we did was we went ahead and mounted all our inverters to the back side of the system. Now we went with micro inverters, one, because that system's a little bit more efficient. What that does is adds an inverter to each specific panel. So let's say, for example, it got cloudy and clouds happen to go over one section of the PV array system. Now, if you have a single inverter system that takes all of that power and inverts it from DC into AC, that system would actually shut down for that moment while those panels were out. With the microinverter system, what it does is optimizes each panel individually. So if some of these panels are blocked out by clouds, then the rest of the system still continues to function. And the great thing about that is it just makes the whole system much more efficient in adverse weather, clouds. If one panel happens to get dirty and the efficiency of those starts to change, it doesn't affect the whole system as opposed to affecting just that one panel. Now our system is tied into 3 separate breakers. So it's basically 8 panels, 8 panels, and 8 panels. And the reason why we do that is that's how the breaker combiner works to tie in 24 panels together by sectioning them out into 8. So after our system was fully assembled, all the electrical components were put together, all the breakers were wired in properly, then we did some testing, make sure everything was properly grounded, everything was properly functioning. Now our system that we ended up with was a 9.4, almost a 9.5 kilowatt system. Originally in part 1 we said we were going with a 9.6 system, but at that time the panels that were available no longer were when we went to go buy them. Solar panel systems are a really hot item right now, so those 400 watt panels were actually not available at that time, so we went with a 395 panel. Same brand, but just a little bit less wattage per panel. That system was still plenty of power for our home and our home needs that we need for electricity. So let's talk about cost now. So the total cost for this kit system that we have which included the panels, the microinverters, the rail system that the panels attached to, the combiner. All the necessary hardware to assemble this piece together was about $13,800, just under that, which is really not a bad deal. The rails for building the skeleton of the system cost us bare steel about $1,600. The trencher that we used in order to dig the trench that goes from the house to this array site was about $250. The permitting fees was about $334, and all the various miscellaneous parts, which included the electrical wire, all the J boxes, the extra conduit, the electronic disconnect for the house, the new meter, the PV metering system, all those extra parts, pieces, electrical stuff was about $1,850. So added to some miscellaneous labor, which was about $520, we have a total of about $18,350 for our entire setup on our system. So we think about that cost minus the federal tax rebate of 26%, we actually only end up spending $13,360 after we get that rebate back in 2021. So with our total energy output cost on a yearly basis, which is about $2,100 or $175 a month, that'll give us a payback of about 6.5 years in order for us to pay this system off. So the other big question is how much value did this system that takes care of the majority of our electricity costs actually give us back in value for our home? Well, based on the national average, this system has added about $30,000 to our home's value. So we made 224% on our investment. This thing pays itself off on what we actually spent on it in 6.5 years. And now our energy costs are an extremely minimum throughout the entire year, mainly because of where this is located on the mesa top with tons of sun exposure. So overall, our experience with building this PV system with really no experience under the advisement of a good friend who is a master electrician was a really great experience. One, it created a lot of value for our home. It taught us a lot about electrical PV systems and how they worked as we were building this and going along, as well as really how to save money and use as much of our natural resources as possible, including the abundance of the sun in this area. Now you guys may see this truck behind me here over my shoulder, and my truck here is actually a 2016 Toyota Tacoma that we actually built. So I wanted to ask you guys what you guys thought about our next build. Would you guys like to see me build this thing out? We're actually about to do a bunch more upgrades on this. As it stands, it's got about a 3-inch lift on there, approximately 33-inch tires, and a few extra mods on there, but it's about to go through a whole big change coming soon. Would you guys like to see me do a bunch of builds on this truck here? Let me know in the comments. If you guys found some value in this video, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe for more videos, and we'll see you in the next one.